when you put your family on the internet, you do open yourself to criticism and opinions. It doesn't mean you have to be open to the opinions that you didn't ask for.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. When people become critical of like and suspicious of like, oh, we're not seeing your kids as much on those videos. They're not doing anything. Doesn't look like they're working hard. You're not seeing 99% of what happens
by
around
design.
here on a day-to-day basis by design.
When we do show them and then people criticize them, it literally makes me want to reel it back even more.
Yeah.
I just need people to understand this is my 5th baby. Maybe I'm not an expert on all things, but always I seek their best interests. I am not going to be taking public commentary for how we're raising our children, how we're schooling them. They're going to Nevaeh's channel and saying, I hate to tell you this, but your mom is a Nazi. She literally, for real, got that comment.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you so much for being here once again. We invite you to like, comment, and subscribe here on New World Old Soul. We are back with another week of just exciting material, so welcome.
Exciting material.
Sure.
And Jeremy got a haircut.
I did.
Well, okay. Jeremy shortened the sides. It's very dapper.
It's my hipster lumberjack look. It's a new hairstyle, new hairdo for me. Melissa's still giving me a hard time about it. She said that, hey, on the podcast, you said fade up the sides. I faded up the sides. You can't tell.
The sides look way better.
I tightened it all up like you wanted. Here's my thing. I'm losing my hair.
No.
Yeah, I'm losing my hair. This isn't new. It's been happening for a couple of years. It's thinning. I know.
Maybe your brain's just getting bigger.
I doubt that. I know that eventually I'm probably going to be a little shiny on top. Just let me have this. Let me have this for now.
I mean, it's not like you're George Costanza. You're not getting like that.
No, I got the like yarmulke action happening. You know what I mean? It's not a full horseshoe yet, but
you can start wearing a yarmulke.
It's progressing. Just let me have this, please. Let me have it.
Okay.
Let me hold on to these stylings that I can still do currently with the little bit of hair that I have left.
You look very handsome.
I appreciate that, Mama. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very pregnant. I think we have about 7-8 weeks left to go, depending on if we go over.
It is crazy. This is the weekly pregnancy check you are getting around. Like we were just talking yesterday morning about, we don't understand how it is that Melissa is as full and round as she is currently, because it appears, especially when she pulls up her shirt, not that she's going to do that. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Thought she was actually going to do it for a second.
I look like a martini olive today.
You are extra round for being 7.5 months ish. It's crazy.
Yep.
You got some skin stretching, some itchiness going on.
Yeah.
You know, I came in here prepared this week for you. I told you about this video. I hadn't shown it to you as of yet. So let me play this New York City.
I thought it was going to be a birth video.
No, it's a birth video.
Oh.
It's a woman giving birth on the New York City subway. And I love the way that this story starts, because they basically point out the fact that there's rats that run around New York City subways, apparently. And the fact that you are a germaphobe, I just wanted to run you through this hypothetical scenario of giving birth on a public transit.
I don't like
subway.
Public transportation for any purpose.
That's what I'm saying. Real quick, let's jump into this. It's a short video.
Okay.
At a New York City subway station, you might see a rat sneaking off with a Reese's.
Reese's.
Or an impromptu performance from global superstar Bad Bunny.
Oh, beautiful.
Have a medical situation.
But this might be a new one for many New Yorkers, a baby being born on a train.
As
you're entering 34th Street, you hear her like asking help, and you hear a baby like start crying.
Brianna Brown here took the video you're currently watching.
Strangers are touching it
coming together to help
without
deliver a
washing their
pregnant
hands.
woman's baby
This
girl.
is why I wanted to
This all
show this to
happened while
you.
the train was stopped at Herald Square.
What do you want for Christmas, Peter?
Which, to put in perspective, is right next to the
Miracle
iconic
on
Macy's
34th
store at
Street.
Miracle on 34th Street.
Beautiful.
When the woman first started calling for help, some passengers rushed to the conductor to stop the train. Meanwhile, this woman, Brown says, took charge and even used a pocket knife to cut the umbilical cord.
From our knowledge, she wasn't
Why
a
would you
doctor
do
or
that?
anything. She was
I'm
just
sure it was
someone that
sterile.
had, like,
Why would you
full
do
knowledge
that?
of, like, what to
Why
do
wouldn't
in
you
the
just
situation.
delay cord
Thank God
clamping?
for
What is
her.
with people? Like, cut the
Subway is
cord.
certainly a unique place
They've
in
watched
the
too
world,
many
but this baby
movies.
is not totally alone in her circumstance. In May of last year, a baby was born on a flight to London. And in August, we had a highway birth.
Oh,
One contraction later.
Well, I mean,
that's more common.
yeah, that's in your
That's
own
not public
car.
transit.
Holding her head.
This train is being held.
But now
It's
we
just
also
the
have baby
floor of
who
a
was
subway
born
car where
underground
millions
in
of
the care
people
some New Yorkers
Why
who
would
walk
she
maybe
get
annually.
a dirty
are
pocket
indeed
knife
willing
out
to
of her
stop the
purse
hustle
and
and
cut?
bustle to
Why
help
would you feel
somebody
the
in
need
need.
to do that?
Just
This
seeing New York come together to actually
is
support
crazy.
and help a woman was just, it was amazing.
They're like, she's
Anyway,
a hero.
We get the point. No, I mean, I'm glad everything turned out. Everyone's happy and healthy, according to this report. But I just wanted to show that to you because I know you, given your current state situation, this would be your nightmare.
Absolute nightmare. Well, I'm very like anti-Hep B vaccine on day one, like you get this pure baby and then you're like, let's make sure it doesn't catch this STD. And then but in the case of a dirty pocket knife, like literally that baby probably requires it.
I wonder what means they took to try to sterilize that knife, if at all.
But just why?
Yeah.
You don't need to do that.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because that's a misconception that a lot of folks don't know about. And given the fact that we're doing a home birth, we've actually discussed this, right? Because the last time it didn't go exactly how it is that you ideally would have wanted to see it go.
Well, the only reason that, we did it relatively how I wanted it to go. Like, I'm a big believer in delayed cord clamping because 1/3 of the baby's blood and everything that it needs is in the placenta and everything, because the placenta is the baby's. And so the blood of the baby is circulating through the placenta, through the umbilical cord, through the baby. And then once the baby is born, this is God's perfect, beautiful design, the valve literally switches to one way and it will pump all the blood from the placenta and the cord into the baby.
You can see it happening.
You can see it. The cord pulses. With Eli, he was like 15 or 16 days overdue, and my placenta had started to his placenta had started to deteriorate. It was grainy.
Bizarre.
Yeah, it was just getting older.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't working in the right way. And so, our midwife was a total naturalist, and she's like, it's not pumping anymore. But the cord was white and everything. It just wasn't as long as I normally would want.
It's just another one of those really bizarre things that we do as a culture and society, especially with very medical births. Mm-hmm. It's like immediately clamp it and then snip it.
Yeah.
When it's completely unnecessary. In fact, it's detrimental. It's
for sure. Yeah.
Straight up detrimental.
I was literally talking to my mom about this, and I was explaining how 1/3 of the blood is in the cord and in the placenta. And literally as soon as the baby is born, they're clamping that cord, which stops the flow of blood.
And jabbing it.
And then cutting it. Why are we doing that?
And then taking that fresh new life, that new baby, and sticking it with.
Yeah. And then going, okay, now this baby's vitamin K deficient.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe if we'd allowed all of its blood to pump into its body, we wouldn't have this vitamin K deficiency. So then to make up for that, we're now injecting the baby with vitamin K. And they're like, oh, it's just vitamin K. It sounds harmless enough. Well, vitamin K shots have preservatives and stuff in them.
Yeah.
So now we're injecting the baby with preservatives and vitamin K.
And we're not anti-vaxxers. Let me put that out there because I'm sure that's going to be some of the reaction here. Aren't we? Skeptical vaxxers. Though I'd say we've had a diminishing. I don't know how to put this. We over time we have done less and less when it comes to vaccines with the kids. With Nevaeh she got a lot of what is recommended.
I think she has like 20.
What is the schedule now? Is it like 70 something?
There was like 72.
Crazy.
When we were kids and like growing up in the 90s, there were 13.
Yeah.
And then now there's 72. There's literally ones that where you're getting 3 doses or 4 doses of the same one. And a bunch of them are like at 2 months. There's a bunch at 2 months.
And so we started looking into this more and more over time. And then over time with the kids, as we kept having kids, we started doing less and less.
Well, I actually stopped with Nevaeh at 5 months.
Right.
Because I took her in and they were like, we're going to do, I think they gave her 5. And I was a young mom. I did what the doctor said. I didn't question. I just did as I was told with my first baby because I didn't know. And I looked to the medical professionals.
Yeah.
And they gave her 5 and her fever spiked so high. Mm-hmm. And she had like one of those fever seizures that day. And I was actually at the hospital because my sister was giving birth to my niece.
Right.
And the nurse took her for observation, took her from me and was like, we need to check.
Yeah, was that severe?
Yeah, she was like, she's seizing. And you weren't there. And it was horrifying. And then so from there, I went to a delayed schedule, just one at a time. And then I just gave up on it.
It's just, like I said, it's another one of those
Eli
weird things. Like we defer to and entrust our medical professionals, and rightfully so. They're a wealth of information, but at the same time, they're being fed information that maybe, there are numerous examples that you can point to where medical procedures that were very commonplace at one point in time turned out to be detrimental, come to find out.
Yeah.
Go as recently as the mandated vaccine for COVID and all of the detrimental effects that that's had on people over time.
But you weren't allowed to question it at the time.
Yeah, you're always attacked for it, which I find so odd. Why it is that even just questioning something or being skeptical or weary of something or just wanting more information, it seems to receive this very aggressive reaction in our society. It's bizarre.
You're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
You're questioning the science. But I think it's really important to question the science because what if, I mean, remember, started in the 20s and the 30s, it became very popular in the 40s, lobotomies for depression and for mental illness. So
crazy to think about now.
They were literally taking women with postpartum depression and removing parts of their brain.
Just
and
the frontal lobe. You don't need that. Not important.
the part of your personality. And literally they're like, oh, they're not depressed anymore. And then you're just spoon
you're
feeding
catatonic, yeah. But you're not depressed.
Yeah, they were taking, people with bipolar disorders or people with, severe seasonal depression and turning them into vegetables.
Yeah, we live, we learn. But again, it's so bizarre to me that...
I mean, this sucks for those people, though.
It does, but
had no one questioned it.
Over time, look at the way that these things evolve. And like I said, it's bizarre that you are attacked for expressing any level of criticism or skepticism of any kind. To go back to the whole cord thing, right? Like I'm sure there's an argument out there, or there's some articulable reasoning as to why it is that medical professionals immediately clamp and cut cords.
The conspiracy is, this is a conspiracy, that hospitals are not allowed to sell cord blood because they don't have permission to. It doesn't belong to them, but they can donate it. So a placenta and cord blood is very valuable. They're able to do all kinds of stuff with it, but they can donate this to science. And then where it goes from there, it can be sold. So there are people that swear up and down, no, this is not happening. That's not why they're clamping cords and whatever. And then there's other people, whistleblowers, if you will, that say we're 100% taking the cord blood and placental blood and doing stuff with it. So who knows? I don't know.
What are they doing with it?
Cord blood has all kinds of stem cells and things like that in it. So it's very valuable.
Okay. Conspiracy.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to say that that's not.
No, I'm not.
I mean, people think you're nuts when you talk about like stuff that goes on with the organ donors and things too. And then like other people that have been there are like, no.
We live in an bizarre times that we are currently living in. I think we can all openly acknowledge that. And it turns out that, hey, it's so much of what was conspiracy 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago, what do you know, turned out to be true.
Like when they were saying they were donating embryos to science, and then people are like, well, what's going on with the embryos, the IVF embryos being donated to science? Like all this stuff sounded nuts 5 or 10 years ago. And now they're like, oh no, they actually are giving these to universities and they are doing experiments.
I'm not saying take that knowledge and then apply it across the board of like, okay, well then I guess every single conspiracy is true. If conspiracies are fun, it's really entertaining. That's the reason I like them to jump into. But come to find out, like, I mean, a lot of them are concerning. If there's any ounce of truth to a lot of these conspiracies, I find that to be incredibly troubling. And given, like I said, our recent history, food for thought, something to think about.
I heard from a pediatrician that the reason that they're giving the vitamin K shots across the board is because of circumcision, because some babies have clotting and blood disorders or not even disorders, like they're saying they're born vitamin K deficient. I think babies are born perfect. If every single baby is born exactly with the same like levels of vitamin K, then there's a reason that God has a design for that. And I do believe that a lot of the deficiency is caused by not letting all of the blood re-enter the baby. But also they want to circumcise those babies in the first 24 to 48 hours to get them out of the hospital, and they need the blood to clot. It's not clotting properly, but if you look biblically, you are not supposed to circumcise a young baby until day 8.
Yep.
The reason that God told the Hebrew people to wait till day 8 is because that is when the vitamin K level is appropriate for the blood to clot, and that is when it is safe to circumcise a baby.
That's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
Little biblical fun fact there for you when it comes to circumcision.
But in like our now, we need these people out of here. We need insurance to pay for this because it became an insurance issue with having to bring the baby back. Now it's a separate insurance thing. Anything that is done with the baby and mom before they are discharged is considered part of the birth insurance.
Yeah.
So they know we can get every circumcision paid for and with insurance, no problems, whatever. So it's everything comes back to finances. And I feel like 72 vaccines comes back to finances.
Oh, 100%.
Also, I mean, when you have pediatricians getting kickbacks from insurance companies, now pediatricians are not allowed to get kickbacks from the drug companies. That's illegal, right?
Mhm.
But the drug companies can give the insurance companies kickbacks, and the insurance companies can give the pediatricians kickbacks. So if they have like an 80% vaccine rate where it's like, or 100% vaccine rate or a 50% vaccine
Or
rate,
you mandate it.
Yeah, well, there's financial incentives.
Always.
So yes, anytime you put money behind something, you run into corruption, you run into greed, you run into 72 vaccines.
And you should question all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Mhm.
On that note, speaking of vaccines, because this wasn't going to be a vaccine discussion, did you see this story that came out about Girl Scout cookies? And I don't mean to pick on Girl Scouts or Girl Scout cookies.
Are you picking on the Girl Scouts?
None of those little gals out there doing their thing. Have you ever purchased Girl Scout cookies?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And ironically, I did see this story, and ironically, the two that I buy are the peppermint,
The Thin Mints.
the Thin Mints, and the peanut butter patties.
Okay, so again, before jumping into this story, I want to say, let's preface this by saying, we're not anti-Girl Scouts.
Right.
I know it's become a very controversial organization over the years, in recent
Boys-
years. The Boy Scouts.
Well,
the
Scouts.
Can't have Boy Scouts, even though we still have Girl Scouts, which doesn't make any sense to me.
That was my favorite thing with Ben Shapiro when they were like,
In the name
Yeah.
Boy Scouts.
where does it say that it's only for boys? In the name Boy Scouts.
Brilliant.
Obviously, there's a lot of garbage out there today, and we have been trying to cancel a lot of our streaming services and really hone in on ones that have positive content. You guys know we're massive fans of Daily Wire Plus. We get our podcasts, a lot of our news from there, and their movies and their documentaries and all their shows are fantastic for the whole family.
Yeah, I love them, especially the Matt Walsh films. We've talked to you guys about that before. We had the opportunity to speak with him about Am I Racist? What is a Woman? We really enjoy like Lady Ballers we watched together as a family. It was
Yeah.
absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, it was so funny. And they've got other really good movies too. Actually, Eli and I just sat down and watched Terror on the Prairie, which was a Western. I wasn't expecting that at all from Daily Wire.
Yeah, super high production. Run, Hide, Fight. That was a really good one.
That was a really good one. Yeah. So we've been loving their movies. And then also Bent Key is their children's streaming platform. They've got the greatest cartoons. And our kids were kind of starting to get out of the whole cartoon phase. And now we got a new baby coming. So I'm glad that we have Bent Key. Literally, Bent Key alone is so worth signing up for. But there's so many other things too.
For sure. And it's not agenda driven. It's safe. You can sit them down, walk away, knowing that they're not going to be bombarded and peppered with a bunch of propaganda in their cartoons, which I love.
Yeah. And we've been using it a lot for homeschool. Also, the Mastering Life collection with Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
Amazing series.
So good. And Kaimani's been watching pretty much all of them as part of his high school curriculum, which is really great. We watched the marriage one, which we talked about last week.
Yep.
So there is just a wealth of knowledge and entertainment on the platform. We highly recommend it. It's so important to support streaming platforms like Daily Wire Plus because, again, there is so much garbage out there. So supporting programs that are produced by platforms like the Daily Wire Plus is so important because we need that positive content out there. So we want to make sure that we're putting our money where our values are. So now is the perfect time to sign up because when you go to getdwplus.com and you use our code NWOS30, you will save 30% off your annual subscription. You will not be disappointed.
Well worth it. Check it out. So it turns out that some studies have been done on Girl Scout cookies, and this has been in the news, so there may be a lot of you out there that are aware of this, but in case you are not, turns out that they are highly poisonous.
Yeah, they're like literally saying toxic leads to what they found in them leads to cancer and autism.
Glyphosate, which if you are unfamiliar with that is basically Roundup. It's the primary ingredient that you find in Monsanto's Roundup. Awful stuff, causes all kinds of health issues. And the Thin Mints apparently are very, very saturated.
Man, they
with
even make Thin Mint ice cream.
So let's dive into this video real quick. And then I'll read the findings of the actual study because it was really interesting and disturbing when I started diving into this and some of the other health issues.
Girl Scout cookies, researchers with GMOscience.org say yes, they contain ingredients linked to autism and cancer. They tested the cookies for the presence of aluminum, arsenic, lead, and mercury. 88% of the samples contained all of these. Every cookie tested contained the active ingredient in the weed killer Roundup, and 96% contained lead. The Girl Scouts say in a statement their cookies are produced by trusted licensed bakers who adhere to rigorous standards set by the FDA and other agencies.
That's the problem.
If the FDA says it's safe.
So we have these acceptable standards and that are sickening and like literally killing people. it's that just that alone is very troubling. And I'm kind of hoping that RFK with taking on this new cabinet position that he has been appointed to and that he's taking on, he wants to clean a lot of this stuff. He's got the whole Making America Healthy Again movement that he's putting into motion here. Hopefully there's some overhaul. I'm not saying like overhaul the American diet as a whole, but so much of what we eat, whether it be due to a lack of education, just general knowledge, or options in the marketplace, I find it so sad that we're all poisoning ourselves. I gave you the stat that basically 80% of us have a substantial amount of glyphosate that can be found in our urine when tested, which means that our bodies are incredibly saturated with it.
Yeah.
All kinds of like organ issues, cancers are all being attributed to glyphosate. It's awful stuff, and yet we're just munching it down on the daily. It's crazy.
It's almost impossible to avoid too in the American diet, because even if you're buying only organic whole foods, it's being sprayed all over the organic produce as well, just in different forms.
At acceptable levels.
Yep.
Right. So here are the actual findings. This is an article from Connexiant. Reading's tough sometimes, especially on camera. A commission investigation has found that all tested Girl Scout cookie samples contain glyphosate and toxic metals, with some exceeding the EPA's water safety limits. Researchers led by Stephanie Seneff, PhD, a senior research scientist at the Massachusetts at MIT, tested 25 cookie samples from 3 states for contamination. The findings from the study, which were published on gmoscience.org, revealed that 100% of the samples tested positive for glyphosate, an herbicide commonly used as a drying agent in crop production. Thin mints, unfortunately, showed the highest glyphosate levels at 111.07 parts per billion, while the peanut butter patties, also delicious, contained 13.5. So a significant difference.
Yeah.
The Thin Mints are like absolute poison. Total bummer.
Oh, that's like what everybody loves.
According to the report, these levels are 334 times higher than what Dr. Don Huber, professor at Purdue, states is harmful and must be avoided.
Wow. Yeah, literally, I think these suckers would be legal in the UK, Germany, Sweden, probably Canada, but like here in the United States. And I think we have a lot of UK viewers. We have a lot of Canadian viewers.
We do.
And they're like, how can you stand what's going on and everything in your country? Everything's being torn apart. But I think what you guys don't understand is your food is so much safer than ours. Your standards are so much higher than ours. The dye that they're pumping into our cereal and our candy is illegal in your countries.
No, get Melissa started on the red dye.
The red dye 40, the yellow dye is toxic. It causes all kinds of behavioral issues. I mean, they're doing studies where they will give children red vines and then put sensors on their brain and then watch what it does to them, to their aggression levels, especially in little boys.
Yeah.
Just something red dye. And it's in everything.
It's in every household
Read the back
here in
of,
the US.
Like Kraft macaroni and cheese in Canada,
Garbage.
like right across the border, doesn't contain those dyes. But in the US, we've got yellow dye, red dye, all this stuff.
Garbage.
It doesn't need to be that color, for kids to consume it. The cereal, the dyes used in the UK and Canada are natural dyes, or some of them are like derived from beetles and things like that, which is a little gross, but
if
it's
it tastes
not
fine, who cares?
Yeah, and it's literally not settling in the brains of children and affecting their aggression levels.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that autism rates are off the charts here in our country and ramping up exponentially over the decades. It's crazy.
Yeah, and like the stuff when you walk through our store, the stuff like the bug juice, for the love of God, parents, please don't buy stuff like that for your kids.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Like those bug juices, and now there's Skittle water.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they're taking water, perfectly good water, and then they're putting Skittle labels on it, and it's bright red.
Remember that coffee creamer I came back from the store and I told you about? I'm like, there's like Reese's peanut butter cup.
Yeah.
Coffee creamer, which sounds amazing, but it's absolute garbage for you.
And when you read the back of it, it's like soybean oil is the number one ingredient, and it's not even dairy. It's not creamer
and
at
it's
all.
It's a dessert.
Yeah.
Straight up, it's a dessert.
It's sugar and vegetable oils.
It's like the talk we gave Kaimani. Kaimani's 14, almost 15 years old, and he started drinking coffee just, I think, to feel cool.
I don't know what he's doing.
But he's using like a third of the mug for coffee. I'm like, you don't like coffee. You like sugar. Boy,
you like
knock
creamer.
it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's liquid candy.
And I'm buying like all natural, like cream and raw sugar type stuff. So it's like $8 a thing. I'm like, please stop drinking that.
I'm not drinking that. You know what I'm drinking? Heavy whipping cream, MCT oil, and my Laird Hamilton products, his creamer. Great stuff. I love it. It makes for great coffee when we were drinking.
That's one fattening cup of coffee.
It is, but it's fat based. But again, with the diet that I've been doing, it's all fat based. So it's the way I now start my day, and I love it.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's funny how something can taste weird at first, and then
yes,
like I think we as Americans are very resistant to change.
Yeah.
Everybody loved when Bernie Sanders was bringing this stuff up. Like people on the left were like, yes, dig into it. Our food is toxic. Yeah. This is toxic. These vaccines are toxic. This is like all these. But now that like RFK has switched sides, he's gone to the dark side, and now he wants to investigate the FDA or the CDC. Everyone's like, no, don't let him. Why would you not want to know?
Because everyone's common sense has been taken over by radical partisan BS. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, the media is like so literally as poisonous as our food and these dyes in telling people if you support anything that this administration is doing, you can't support anything they're doing, anything they do. They could literally like find the cure for dementia. They could be like, this is it. No one will ever have dementia again. And they would be like, that's evil because... Stop it. Like, not everything's bad. Not everything the right does is bad. Not everything the left does.
I hate the media, but I think this falls on people. You don't allow your common sense to be overridden. It's total ideologies. It's being hijacked by a certain ideology teams, right? I'm team red, you're team blue. Regardless of what it is you say, regardless of whether or not I've supported it previously, just because you said it, you're wrong.
Right.
Great videos online about that when it came to, I just saw a video of, I forget the guy's name, Ami something, where he's going up to people in New York City saying, hey, Bernie Sanders was proposing this federal tax. He has this federal tax proposal. Can I read it to you? Tell me what you think. And of course, everyone's like, oh, yeah, no, I love that. I love hearing that. That's a great idea. I love that. And then he confronts and reveals to them that this is actually Trump's proposed tax plan. And then, of course, they take a step back and they're like, oh,
I don't like it then.
Never. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, if something's a good idea, it's okay.
It just goes to show
like,
you're being tribal, and again you're defaulting simply to ideology rather than taking in all the facts and information and deciding for yourself. That element of critical thinking is missing. Yeah,
like I mean, I grew up in the Seattle area, and then we lived in the Portland area. And it was really like the cry of the left to clean up the food, all natural, organic.
Yes.
Stop pumping your bodies full of this. Stop putting fragrances
on
your body.
Rightfully so. Don't agree with them on most things, but I'm with them on that.
For sure. Like, let's dig into this. Let's question the science. Let's know what's in our food. Let's know what we're putting in our children from the moment that they're born and why. Why it's the medical field doing these things. Because if there's money behind it, there's corruption behind it, it's not usually in our best interest.
There you go. Once again, profiteering.
Yeah. Why would you not want them to dig into it? Why do you not want them to dig into vaccines and see if they can reveal a connection? Because like they'll be like, autism's not causing the vaccines. What we do know of autism is that it was 2 to 4 in every 10,000 kids. Like, I don't know, 40 years ago. Now it's 1 in 36 kids. 1 in 36 will be diagnosed with autism. And I had like I was watching this whole podcast and they were arguing back and forth. And the doctor said, no, we're just so much better at diagnosing it now.
Right.
No, there are problems.
It is overdiagnosed, I would argue.
I would argue, yes, it's overdiagnosed, but also it's not that we're just so much better at diagnosing it. 1 in 36 kids did not have autism back then. They do now, or maybe it's overdiagnosed. Maybe it's even half that number. That number is staggering.
Yes.
What is causing it? Mm-hmm. Something is causing it. The chart just goes up from like the 90s. It's up 178%.
Yeah. And why would you not want to dive into that?
Yeah.
Why?
As a parent, as a grandparent, as an educator, as a member of society, don't you want to know what's causing this?
No, it's just like the federal audit, right? All these Doge audits that are happening and all the cuts that are happening at the federal level.
People are losing their minds
over it, and they're finding exorbitant amounts of absolute waste and fraud, and people are getting up in arms about that. Like, how dare you? What?
Yeah, they're really mad. They want the whole department to go away. They're really upset that, well, he can access our financial information and we didn't elect him. Well, you didn't elect anybody that works at the IRS, and every single one of those thousands and thousands of workers can access your financial information. You didn't elect the bankers. And I get a call from Wells Fargo saying, hey, I was just looking at your accounts and I'm wondering if you'd like to switch. I'm like, I didn't give you permission to look at my account. Who are you?
Yeah, but
like, who is this?
I don't understand. Like they're exposing fraud and waste to a troubling level. It's been amazing, the information that's coming out.
But they're saying it's all fake. Like everything they find, the media will go, no, that's not happening, and this is how we're going to explain this.
They're wrong on that. Again, it's just ideology. It's partisan ideology. Overriding one's common sense. These are our hard-earned tax dollars. We work really hard. I'm sure everybody out there works really, really hard. You enjoy writing those checks every year? Because I sure as hell don't. So come to find out that all my tax dollars are being wasted on
stuff that's not even in our country.
Is like infuriating, and I'm so grateful.
Sesame Street in Iran, like pay for your own Sesame Street. Why don't we take all of this money and invest it into things that are good, like cleaning up our food system? Like you were just watching that Woody Harrelson, Joe Rogan thing, and you were saying that Joe Rogan was kind of pushing back on him about
on the regenerative farming and whether or not it's we're capable of feeding the masses. Getting away from this like industrialized farming system that we have here in our country.
Yeah. So now
we, you have people like Joel Salatin that we've spoken to, the gentleman over at like White Oaks Pasture who have like taken this on, spearheaded this movement of regenerative agriculture. And they make the argument that you absolutely could. It might take a while to transition, but you 100% could if everyone would just adopt these practices. We could feed everyone and ensure that they're getting good, high quality, non-poisonous food.
Right. And so the argument is, no, we can't feed the masses for an affordable price, and food prices are going to rise. So why don't we take some of this, money for Sesame Street in Iran and put it towards keeping food affordable that's natural and healthy and farming, and bring in Joel Salatin and have him show you how to do it, because he's feeding hundreds of families on his property. And we farmed back when we had an acre, we farmed
just one.
Yeah, but I mean, our house took up most of it. We were only farming like 20% of that acre.
I wouldn't call it farming, but yeah, we were growing veggies, raising our own meat, and we, to go back, I would love to go. It's very small level farming, sure, but if everyone adopted even just that, whether you live like in an apartment, we always say like even if you have a condo and you're doing like potted veggies and stuff, do it because you'll feel better. You'll take pride in the food. You'll enjoy your meals more. Like we, for a very long time, were able to sustain ourselves through like, especially the summertime, like no problem. We had like an overabundance.
We were feeding about 20 families off our 20% of an acre. They would come and I would give them a laundry basket.
You'd be shocked at the productivity and how much food you're able to grow and raise yourself. And felt great, man. And we would sit down to those meals and I would just have a smile on my face looking at my plate of like
yard meals.
All of the yard meals. And everything came from right here, steps away. I saw it through from beginning to end, from seed to chick to whatever. It's so satisfying, and you feel better in the process.
You feel so much better not eating that stuff. Like we raised our own chickens, we raised our own rabbits, so our meat was clean. We knew that they hadn't been vaccinated. There were no antibiotics in that meat. There was no preservatives in that meat. We processed it, so we knew that the processing was clean and there was no contaminants.
And you can dive further and further into that between like what it is that you're feeding and like GMOs and all that, right? You try to avoid all that stuff. As a point to illustrate that, since we were talking about glyphosate, I wanted to pull up this little clip that you reminded me of this guy, Patrick Moore. He is an advocate for Monsanto and the widespread use of glyphosate when it comes to agriculture and farming. And he's confronted in this very, again, 44-second clip here by this reporter after he remains adamant that no, glyphosate is perfectly fine for human consumption. His reaction speaks volumes in this guy. I mean, great job by this reporter. This is the media actually doing their job.
Do you guys know that we are all about being prepared? For us, it's just added insurance. In fact, in one of our last vlogs, we really broke down some of our favorite everyday preps, and we've also been sharing some of our favorite things here on the podcast. Our hope is to give you guys a good place to start for your own family and a company that we personally trust to help us with All things preparedness, from long-term food storage, water filtration, solar energy backups, and even bug-out accessories, is American Reserves.
Yeah, American Reserves provides top-quality emergency preparedness supplies that align perfectly with our lifestyle and our values. Supporting American-made products is important to us, and we appreciate that American Reserves shares our commitment to faith, freedom, quality, and sustainability.
Their products really have become a trusted part of our daily routine here on the homestead, and most importantly, for our preparedness for whatever may come. So as we all maneuver this new year and all the crazy stuff that we're seeing across the country and the world, we can all take steps towards making sure that our families and our homes are more prepared.
Since we all need to start somewhere, we recommend you commit this year to making sure that at least every member of your household has a 30-day long-term food supply, and please make sure to have a good off-grid water filtration system as well. That's step one. You can then build your supply from there. The cool thing is American Reserves is a perfect one-stop shop for everything it is that you'll need.
So if you're looking to enhance your own preparedness with dependable American-made products, visit AmericanReserves.com and remember to use our code SOUZA, S-O-U-Z-A, at checkout to enjoy a 15% off discount exclusively for our community.
Glyphosate in Argentina is causing increases in cancer. You can drink a whole quart of it and it won't hurt you.
You want to drink some? We have some here.
I'd be happy to, actually. Not really, but
not really.
I know it
immediately
wouldn't hurt
backtracks.
If you say so, I have some glyphosate.
No, I'm not stupid.
Okay, so you.
No, but I know
so it's dangerous.
I know people try to commit suicide with it and fail fairly regularly.
Tell the truth.
It's not dangerous to humans. No, it's not.
So you're ready to drink one glass of glyphosate?
I'm not an idiot. Interview me about golden rice. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, then it's finished. Then the interview is finished.
That's a good way to solve things.
Yeah. You're a complete jerk.
You're a complete jerk.
Well, that didn't work out too well.
You asked me to drink my own product after I said it was safe.
Last video of the day there, I promise. But yeah, we shouldn't be consuming this stuff. This guy's trying to advocate and make the argument that it's perfectly safe, yet upon being, tasked with consuming a small amount, he's unwilling to do so.
Yeah, I remember, I forgot why we had like some in our garage like years and years ago, back before we've kind of banned it from our property, but one of our cats licked it or drank it. It was our mama cat. Remember how sick she got?
Yeah.
She was like hiding under this thing and she was foaming at the mouth. And I was like, she's going to die. It was Lucy.
She didn't die.
She didn't die. It was a failed suicide attempt.
Perfectly fine.
But she almost did. It was, and I don't even think she had very much at all. Like, it was really alarming. And I went, this cannot be anywhere near our family, in our home. It is so but it's in everyone's pee.
It's almost unavoidable. I mean, if you just consume food here in our country, there's an element of it somewhere in there. I almost guarantee it.
Canadians are like, oh, maybe we don't want to go over the border and eat over
there. Funny you bring that up. So I went over the border. I went up into Canada, and had a discussion with the border agent there, the customs agent, I guess, at the border on their side. Real nice lady. I've actually struck up a conversation with her about McDonald's, because we brought up that we had gone up to the McDonald's previously up here in British Columbia, and she immediately responded with, your McDonald's is so much better. I was like, yeah, but it's probably not better for you, because again, those regulations that they have up there,
better.
It makes for very bland food by comparison, but everything here is so over salted and over seasoned. There's a radical, very drastic difference. But it's so funny. She's like, "Oh, the food in your country is so much better." But I'm like, "Yeah, but
you can take a McDonald's cheeseburger and it like literally doesn't even go bad." We just had this. The kids were wanting hummus and pitas, and I had some pitas that I bought, and then they found them at the back of the pantry, and I was like, ooh, don't eat those. Those are like 3 or 4 weeks old.
Still good.
And they opened the bag and they're like, they smell fresh. And I pulled one out. It was soft. It had no mold on it. I bought that sucker 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, that is not supposed to happen.
And it's bread.
Have you seen the guy that like kept a McDonald's meal I think from like the 1990s? He like stuck it in a display to like preserve it.
Oh yeah.
And it has not deteriorated whatsoever. It's like a cheeseburger and fries, and they look old and stale, but they're still intact, not moldy, nothing. It's amazing.
That's insane. Now, if you baked that bread at home using 3 or 4 simple ingredients, it would be moldy in 48 hours. Like that's the hard thing about baking homemade bread is like I'll bake sandwich bread for the family. And then I did 2 loaves like a couple weeks ago and they only ate 1. Because they're used to just being able to slowly eat sandwich bread. And I'm like, you better eat this, it's going to mold. And then Eli went to get some out. I think I baked it 3 or 4 days earlier. And it was just green mold. And I was like, He's like, what the heck happened? This is gross bread. I'm like, no, this is real bread.
It's proper bread.
Yeah, this doesn't have. And then, so I had him read the back label of the pitas, and he was like, gum extract preservative blood. Like, and he was like, I don't even know these words. This is gross.
If you can't read it, you shouldn't be eating it. The seed oils, Bethany Hamilton on our podcast went off on a whole tangent about the seed oils and how destructive that is to our health and our bodies. I'm hopeful for the future. Again, like I said, especially with RFK, I'm not suggesting complete overhaul, but you know what? I think there'd be a lot of people, even if that were the case, if we were to like overhaul everything, and let's say our food became as bland as it is over in Europe and Canada, you would 100% get used to it. Yeah. And in the long run, it'd be so much better for our health as a country, all of us. For
sure. I mean, everyone's always complaining about insurance costs and medical costs and everything in the US. But the other thing is 80% of our chronic diseases that are skyrocketing the cost of medical are diet related. They're preventable diseases that you could cure completely with lifestyle changes.
Health starts in the gut.
Yep. And like when you have diabetes and things like that, it leads to all kinds of problems. So obesity, how many Americans are obese? If you just eat the American diet and you don't pay attention, if you're not reading labels and you're not dieting all the time and everything, you're just eating what's put in front of you, you will be obese.
Yeah.
And your children will be obese.
In our country, 100%. And you know what? I've caught a lot of flack from people about this diet that I'm currently on, to where I'm fasting. Again, what time is it? It's past noon now. I haven't eaten today.
I don't feel like you're eating enough.
You don't think I'm eating enough, but it goes to show, even though I'm not like an overweight person per se, it goes to show how many calories in reality, you can function on, especially when you make a habit of it. I mean, I could go 24 hours and fast, no problem now. And I feel amazing in the process. Like my mental clarity is on point. I feel like I have a ton of energy because I'm actually burning fat to sustain myself as a fuel.
You're not hungry right now?
I'm not hungry, not at all.
It's funny because this morning I had, I had cream of wheat and I'm starving. And I ate like 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if every time I've broken this diet, what do I tell you?
You're hungry. And,
that I get hungry. It's really bizarre, but it goes to show, like I said, you don't need, I get so irate now doing this diet, hearing people say like, no, you need to eat, you need to do this. When in reality, you honestly, you really do not. You can function on very, very little. You do not have to, I think just, we have this mentality in our country of like, everything is just indulgence, man. Like take in as much as you can. This is delicious. Put it down. That looks good. Eat that. Drink this sugary beverage. Like you don't need any of this crap.
You see that with pregnancy too. People are like, you're pregnant, you're eating for two. Well, you're not actually eating for two. And there's a lot of pregnant women that end up with gestational diabetes and things like that because it's like an excuse to sit down and eat a gallon of ice cream. And I joke about it, but I do try to eat really healthy when I'm pregnant.
Do you think it's normal place to put on like 80 pounds during a pregnancy?
I don't think that's healthy for you or your baby. And now you've got all this weight.
I think your diet becomes incredibly important for sure. Like I get on you occasionally with some of the stuff that you choose to snack on, like your 6 Reese's peanut butter cups last week. But you don't, I feel like
it's right. I shouldn't be eating any processed
sugar. You shouldn't be like engorging yourself with garbage. I think it is critically important during the development of your child to take in and consume really nutrient dense, beneficial foods,
proteins and stuff. And it's funny because pregnant women don't think like, oh, let's eat protein. They think, oh, this is the time when I get to sit here and eat a whole pie. And it's like, no, you should be eating, eggs and whole grains and whole foods and fruits and vegetables.
Diet, yes.
But it's just kind of not what society tells you.
And you don't need 7,000 calories a day either.
No. Jeez, that'd be really hard to.
You know what happens.
But I'm literally, my stomach is growling right now.
Yeah, see, it's crazy. I feel great.
Feed me.
I feel fine. I can go the rest of the day and not eat, and I'll eat tomorrow morning.
Well, and I think also we have a problem here in America with thinking things are healthy that aren't. Like if you make your child a turkey sandwich, you're like, this is a healthy option, or you're dieting, and so you're having turkey wraps.
Preservatives.
Something like sandwich meat is so toxic. And you and I got into it the other day over bacon. You were trying to tell me that bacon.
You misunderstood me. You're going to go off on a tangent here, and you're going to misinterpret what it is that I was trying to say.
Well, so U.S. bacon is literally legal like in Germany and Sweden and Canada and like all these other places because of the amount of nitrates that get put into it. Same with the sandwich meat. Yeah. So if you have a turkey sandwich here, the nitrates are so high and it's so unhealthy, but it's fed like it's a healthy food. Right. Subway was considered like the healthy fast food, and there's nothing healthy about
fresh,
it.
Melissa, eat fresh.
Eat fresh.
Fresh
was
as
there.
Could be.
It's
You're
not
trying to lose weight? Eat some Subway. Remember Jared? Come on.
Sandwich meat is toxic. bacon here is toxic unless you're buying a pig and having a butcher
It's a spectrum.
shave down
Depends on where you're getting
bacon.
it from. Yes.
It looks very different in the UK.
We've been diving into this with Kaimani because Kaimani and I work out together. He's really into like health, nutrition, diet, all that. And he was like eating yogurt. I'm like, you know that yogurt is garbage, right? It's like, he's like, no, it's Greek yogurt. I'm like, read the label. How much sugar is in that Greek yogurt?
Well, I love the label of Greek yogurt.
A ton of sugar.
In Greece, it's very different.
He was taking granola and putting it in a bowl with his Greek yogurt. I said, how much fat is in that granola? Off the charts. How much sugar is in that granola?
Sugar is more important than fat.
It was like ridiculous. It was like 40 something grams of sugar.
And
in I forget what the actual unit of measurement that they were using was, but it was like granola. Just because it's granola, that doesn't make it good for you. This is a highly processed packaged food that is filled with all kinds of crap.
And sunflower seed oil. That was the oil in it.
Yeah, also not good for you.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, this is full of sugar and this is full of seed oil.
But the perception,
it's granola.
The perception by a lot of people across our country, especially those who are trying to become more conscientious with their diet, would be like, oh, it's granola. This
Greek yogurt.
Greek yogurt and granola. What's the problem?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's actually not good for you at all. It's so hard. It's so hard. You have to read every label. Like Nevaeh's got that app that she's got everyone scan and stuff.
Yucca app?
Yucca app. That is really telling.
It's jarring. If you go through how much stuff did we throw away?
Oh my gosh, so much stuff.
I mean, everything. Things that you put on your skin, right? Lotions, shampoos, conditioners.
I trashed them. It was, at first I was like, let's just use them because we've already bought them. And then I was like, nope.
No, all poison, especially when they break down the health ramifications of using said product. It's literally, it freaked me out. It freaked all of us out. We threw away so much stuff.
Well, and like P&G, all of their shampoos and conditioners are toxic.
Baby shampoo.
Nothing is worse than Johnson & Johnson. So they give it a rating from like 0 to 100. Johnson & Johnson baby wash, powder, and lotion got like a 1 out of 100, highly toxic. And then it was like red level toxins.
But it makes our babies smell so good.
We're smearing it on our babies. We're powdering the most sensitive parts of them.
What is the ingredient in the powder that it came out? It turned out to be like highly, talcum powder. Is that right? Yeah, that caused all the cancer.
It was causing like uterine cancer
and we're just like,
in women. And we're like,
here you go, baby.
And then like fasten their diaper. And then like with the moisture being introduced to it, it was extra toxic. Well, we're putting it in their diapers.
It is amazing that we are all so sick and unhealthy in our country. It's a wonder. I wonder how it happens.
Well, I think there's so many women issues. And like, I do kind of wonder, like our kids, I mean, not to get back on the whole vaccine thing again, but like they have never once, all 4 of them, Nevaeh's 18, never once been, granted, we did give her some, but we stopped at 5 months.
And ironically, she has the most
health issues. The other 3 have never been on antibiotics in their life. They have never had an ear infection.
It's so commonplace now to prescribe antibiotics for, I mean, that should be a last resort.
Yeah. And they're saying like average Americans are on antibiotics 3 times a year. You know what that does to your gut?
And not trying to knock any of this again. Like Western medicine as a whole is such an amazing thing.
Yeah. Antibiotics have saved millions
countless lives. Yes.
Of lives.
I'm not trying to knock it. I'm just saying like when it comes to ever, like again, to go back to the beginning, ever becoming skeptical or questioning anything, which we should be doing. That is science after all, right? Or it used to be anyway. I just don't understand the level of aggression that people come at you with. It's crazy. I'm not saying medicine is bad. Medicine is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Saves countless lives. However, it does have its faults.
And it has its place.
It's riddled with corruption, especially when you start talking about things like vaccines and drugs.
Yeah. Like I would love to see the trillions of dollars of waste applied to perfecting or improving, can we just improve pediatric cancer drugs?
How about we devote it to actual healthy living instead of trying to treat everything after the fact? How about we go into a mindset of prevention and ensuring that we don't have to have everybody consuming multiple pills or being injected with God knows what on the regular. It makes absolutely zero sense.
We just need to reallocate a lot of the spending. Like let's take all of this waste and then let's apply it to studying dementia. Let's apply it to studying pediatric cancer cures, actual cures, and not worrying about the profits. Let's cure this.
Good luck with that.
Like if we could just take all of this money, allocate it there. Let's use these visas to get the smartest, best biologists and scientists and medical professionals to come to our country that want to come here on these visas. Let's get them to come over and study these diseases. Let's cure them. Like, let's really put our money and our resources where they should be instead of growing skin for robots.
Been over that one.
Yeah, you know, like there's so much stupid waste. There really is.
We are talking
okay.
in circles here. You had something else that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
I slightly discouraged you from doing so, but since we're reaching that point here in the podcast, how about we jump into that? On February 28th, Focus Features invite you to experience the most inspirational film of the year. Based on extraordinary true events, Last Breath tells the story of a deep-sea diver trapped at the bottom of the ocean. With only 10 minutes of oxygen left, he struggles to navigate the pitch-black abyss while his teammates devise a daring plan to save him from certain death.
What happens next, some call impossible and others call a miracle. Last Breath stars Woody Harrelson, who happens to be one of my favorite actors, Simu Liu, and Finn Cole, and takes you inside a world of deep-sea, high-pressure diving where every single decision, every second, and every breath is a life-or-death moment.
Yeah, we had the pleasure of an early screening of this movie. It was so exciting, inspiring, and totally worth seeing in theaters with incredible performances, astonishing visuals, and an uplifting emotional core. This is truly an immersive movie experience that you cannot miss.
So witness the most thrilling motion picture event of the year on the big screen. Get your tickets now for Last Breath, rated PG-13, which means it may be inappropriate for children under 13. It opens February 28th in theaters everywhere. Jeremy and I have been gold and silver owners over 20 years. In fact, I first learned about precious metals from my grandfather and my uncle, who gave us kids silver coins every Christmas and taught us the actual importance of real money.
Yeah, gold and silver have been the currency of the world for literally thousands of years. Paper currencies like the dollar get overprinted and lose their value over time, which is why gold and silver have been our family safety net through the years. And it's why we'd love to encourage you to learn more about their benefits as well.
Now, there has been some fantastic fiscal changes over the past few weeks, but with the past administration's legacy of debt, it's going to take a lot of digging to get us out of the hole. But something that you can do now is start protecting your own wealth against our country's history of insane money printing and inflation by buying some gold and silver now.
Yeah, we recommend you stay proactive and protect your hard-earned money, and you can learn more by calling our friends over at Lear Capital today. They'll show you just how easy it is to move your savings or even your retirement accounts into gold and silver that hold value and protects your wealth long-term.
To learn more, click the link below or go to learnewworld.com to get your free gold and silver wealth protection guides. There is zero obligation. It's just free information. And you can also call 800-330-4630. And when you do, ask them how you can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Call today, 800-330-4630, or go to learnewworld.com. Well, you know, like I said on Facebook to one of the people commenting, I'm too pregnant and I'm too grumpy for this nonsense right now. And so I just wanted to address it in a very nice and respectable way.
We'll see about that.
So an issue that has been coming up that we're discussing is access to our kids and our family. So I was asked yesterday, are we going to get a birth video on this baby?
Saw that.
And then I said, no, birth is something that is very personal for us. I'm not knocking anyone that puts a birth video on YouTube. If you want to document your child's birth, 100% do you. For us, that's just a little too personal. I don't want to show myself giving birth online, nor do I feel like I owe that to anybody.
We're not going to make a devoted video to it. We might, I don't really know what it's going to look like yet, but we're not planning on making like a birth video, no.
But we will introduce baby. We will probably like show portions of that, but not the whole thing. You're not getting a raw birth video from us. To me, it's like kind of Truman Showy. What if this baby doesn't want to be shown entering the world on the internet? You know, it doesn't get to make that choice. And
we've discussed this many, many times here on the podcast, but
that's not the point.
The bigger theme, yes.
The bigger thing is access to our family and our children. So we've been getting a lot of outcries on the vlog channel about why don't your kids help more? Why don't you show them more? Show us the kids, get them out there. They should be building. We do so much with our children. We homeschool them. They're with us all the time. They do everything to keep the homestead going. Are they out there right now?
They were out on the trampoline a second ago. They're no longer there.
Practicing gymnastics. They keep the homestead going. They feed the animals. They care for them completely. Yep. They do all of that stuff. We, by design, limit their camera time. And we've explained this over and over and over again.
The thing you've been getting the most frustrated with, though, is the fact that our kids are receiving any criticism whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So here's what I'd say about it, right? Like it's to be expected. We've been doing this long enough now to where like I know we know usually we know how a video is going to perform. We know what the comments are that we're going to get. Just total transparency out of us. That
we can
know
predict it
ahead
at
of
this
time.
point.
And it pans out literally pretty much like 90% of how we think it's going to go usually. We don't like subjecting our kids to criticism, but at the same time, we do this. We make the decision, you and I. This is what we do for a living. And we open ourselves up to criticisms from people when we decide to do that and include the kids. However, it was you and I who discussed years and years ago with starting this channel, or with devoting ourselves to this channel, that we were not going to include the kids and make them a intricate part of what it is that we do, because we never want to be reliant upon our kids to help provide for our family. That is a responsibility of Melissa and I. And for that reason, we really, really make a concerted effort to limit their involvement and limit the amount of time that they're on camera on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, especially in their daily life. So we do family dedicated videos. We'll do Christmas fun videos, or we'll do vacation videos, or like some kind of family fun event, or we'll do segments in a video where we go ice skating and it's a very family oriented thing and they're in it. But as far as their day-to-day lives go, we don't film them. They will go a week without ever having a camera pointed at their face, because that's weird. I mean, and I think that it's odd to have people have that expectation of having this access to somebody else's children.
Yeah.
And we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. Because if we put them in the vlog, then you get you're exploiting your children, and they get so criticized. So this past week, Kaimani came out and helped because I couldn't do the roofing for the woodshed because it's too heavy and I'm too pregnant and whatever. So Kaimani came out and helped because we needed his help. And everyone was in the video before, they were like, why doesn't your son help?
Not everyone.
Not everyone.
Not everyone. It is the minority of people.
Yes,
but it's
true.
enough people to where it's
there's an outcry.
It makes us get a little irate and irritated. Everyone wants to say like they're not affected by comments. No, because you know what? If you'd never come up to us and say this to us in real life. It's the anonymity of the interwebs and you being able to spout off.
You're not
when you
making
feel entitled to do so.
Your kids help. Like you were plowing the driveway and they're like, why isn't your son plowing the driveway?
Because I don't want him to die.
Yeah.
That's
he's
why.
14. We have a massive ravine. Like if he started sliding in the tractor, he could die. Like we don't have a normal.
No, it's not a situation of like, hey, you're a novice when it comes to operating the tractor, which he does from time to time do. And there are some other complications when it comes to that as well. I'm not going to get into, but it's not like, hey, with your level of experience, go take on plowing the snowy driveway with a very significant drop off. This isn't something that I would allow anyone else to do on our property. I don't care if you had 10 years of experience. I would never take on that risk because I think a lot of people who are commenting and making these remarks are like, oh, other people do this with their kids. Great for those other people. We all get to make these decisions for ourselves. And I'm guessing that a lot of them probably don't have any or very limited experience with plowing a driveway using a tractor when it's icy out. It is incredibly, incredibly dangerous. I get nervous when I'm doing it. I'm certainly not going to put my 14-year-old on that tractor and ask him to do the same.
Right, exactly. And again, like I think the most important thing is these are our children. This is our safety concern, and it's our business whether or not we want our child to plow our driveway. And it's our business whether or not we feel that we want our child out there building all the time. Like this wasn't his dream to come out here and build from the ground up. He's got his own interests. And no, they're not video games and all this stuff like everybody's been accusing him of.
Our kids are exceptional in that regard. They do not live the stereotypical American teenager child life whatsoever. They work hard, they contribute, they get stuff done around here. We just don't record it.
This week he did go out and help. And then the criticism that came in over how he helped. I mean, there were people that called him a pretty boy. There were people that were said he is so pretty. He is so cute. Yeah. Literally like, oh, all those muscles are useless if he's not, he wasn't lifting correctly. He wasn't wearing the right footwear. He wasn't, someone was psychoanalyzing his body language and telling me that you were not including him in the way that his body language was saying, and we just aren't observing him. Like, it was so frustrating. So it's like, okay, finally he helps. And then he does go on there and read these comments. This boy is 14 years old. And so as a mama bear, as a papa bear, we become very defensive of our kids. Yeah. And so then there's this whole thread going on this video. It's like 50 comments long of people saying, you put your kids on the internet, therefore you have to be open to criticism.
And I get that. I understand that. I'm not saying it's right. But
I
get
don't
it.
think that we need to be open to it.
No.
I think when you put your family on the internet, you do open yourself to criticism and opinions, and those are going to differ from your own. But it doesn't mean that you have to be.
You have to tolerate it.
It doesn't mean that respectful is not the. It doesn't mean you have to be open to the opinions that you didn't ask for.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying.
But that's what they're saying. They're like, no, you need to be open to it. And then this one lady was like, you're being very rude. This is my opinion. And I'm like, it's your opinion of my child and my parenting. I am not being rude by saying, I don't need your advice.
It's just always funny because it's like, you know what, you're chiming in with your opinion based on a edited 20-minute video where the people producing the video are very mindful of trying to limit the amount that you see our children. And you're forming an opinion and judging us based solely on that when there are day-to-day routines that the kids are busting their humps around here, getting things done. We rely on them for a lot because we are working on things. So they cook meals, they clean the house.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't clean the house.
Kira
All
does.
the farm chores, all the farm chores
All the
are all
laundry?
done by our sons. All the laundry, literally everything. These kids are, and that's not, don't think that they don't have free time too, because they do.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is they contribute. They more than pull their weight and do their part.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people become critical of like and suspicious of like, oh, we're not seeing your kids as much on those videos, they're not doing anything, doesn't look like they're working hard. You're not seeing 99% of what happens
By
around
design.
here on a day-to-day basis by design.
And when we do show them and then people criticize them, it literally makes me want to reel it back even more.
Yeah.
So like every time I show Kira cooking with me in the kitchen, she doesn't have her hair pulled back correctly. Yeah. Literally, I had 4 comments on whether or not she washed her hands. Yeah. like now we have to show her washing her, and then she'd never sleeves rolled up. Why is she sitting on the counter? Why doesn't she have socks on? Her bare feet by the food is gross. I was
just
like,
little naggy things.
Oh my gosh!
And it's like by themselves, it's not a big deal.
It compounds.
When you get like hundreds of them, it's like folks,
and then
come on. And again, this is a very small percentage of those of you watching. I feel bad even bringing it up, and I kind of discourage Melissa from even bringing it up because we want to focus on this stuff.
I feel like it's ramped up a little lately, and the reason that I'm bringing it up is because we're about to have a new baby. And if I've seen colorful, opinionated comment sections in any way, it's been around babies. And I just need people to understand this is my 5th baby. Maybe I'm not an expert on all things, but I read my children and their needs, and I'm going to do what I see to be in their best interests. Always, I seek their best interests. I am not going to be taking public commentary for how we're raising our children, how we're schooling them. I mean, on that thread, we are accused of isolating our children, brainwashing them. And then I think that all comes back to politics. Like I told one lady, I was like, just tell me what you're really mad at, because I know that it's not this. You're mad at our politics.
At Team Red.
Yes, you're mad at that. And now you're taking that and criticizing our children. Like they're going to Nevaeh's channel and saying, I hate to tell you this, but your mom is a Nazi. She literally, real, got that comment.
You're closeted racist Nazi. Is what you are.
Like, I've shared this before. My yaya was shot by a Nazi. I am not a Nazi. Like, that is so insensitive.
You're a closeted one.
Yeah, that's true. I'm closeted.
One.
But
no, and like those comments are funny.
They're funny, but these people are being serious.
Yes, the extent to which people are willing to go to like just jab and try to stick, and it's like
they're trying to cause a divide with our family. So it's really bothering them that we have this close family unit and it doesn't align with their worldview.
We get criticized for that too.
Yes, we do. Like, why do you guys do everything as a family? How come you only go on vacations with family? Why don't you invite other families?
How awful.
And so we're raising our children to put their families first, forefront of their mind. The pillar of everything they do is for their future husband and wife and children. That should be what you live for. And that's how our family is. Yes. So if you see that as a problem, then we're probably just not the channel for you.
Yeah, and that's fine too. Like we always say.
You're never going to convince us, and you're never going to convince our adult daughter that like she's about to go into some crazy stuff now, which
so
is going to be fun.
Very simple in summary. Our kids are our kids. They are not employees. They contribute
Yes.
around here. They do a lot. You're not going to see it because of the way that Melissa and I have chosen to run what it is that we do online. I'm not going to disparage anybody else. Like I said, everybody gets to make these decisions for themselves. But when it comes to, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, I think when it comes to kids and YouTube, it is very complex and complicated. What's the damn mom that got arrested for abusing her kids?
The Utah mom.
Anyway, when it comes to adults who are making, in a lot of cases, even in our world, in our little corner of the internet,
Ruby Frankie,
regardless of whether or not you are aware of it, a lot of these people are making massive sums of money. And I'm going to say it, they're exploiting their children in the process. There are children who are burdened on a regular basis, treated as an employee, saying, hey, little Susie, little John, we need to be on camera. You need to be on camera today. So no matter what it is you do, I'm going to follow you around. And again, people get to make these decisions for themselves. It might sound kind of judgy, but from my personal experience and the reality of doing this, I don't think that it is good for children to be treated in such a way. I think that there should be laws and protections that are put on the books to make sure that people are not allowed to exploit their children in such a way, because it's just gross. It's detrimental to the kids. It's harmful to the kids. And from a viewership standpoint, just like I said with these people, you get to decide for yourself on what it is you want to consume online. Right. So if there are people who are doing what I'm describing here, take a second to remove yourself from the screen. Think about the reality of what that looks like in the real world, where there's kids being followed around, not being given a lot of privacy, or being asked to perform or do certain things because the audience likes it. I would just encourage you to be mindful of that reality, because it gets lost when you are just gazing at a screen. And I explained this to a lady, and she's like, "You guys, come on." It's like, no, this isn't something that should be taken casually. We are a society who should be protecting the most vulnerable among us. Kids, especially, it's not normal. I guarantee you that even if you enjoy seeing it on the screen, if you saw it happening in real life, you saw lights and cameras, much like we have set up in this room here, and a little 5-year-old kid, 10-year-old kid is going around trying to live their life, trying to figure life out. And in the process, they're being recorded and knowing full well that people are watching them through the lens of that camera. You'd be disgusted by it, because that's always been my reaction. We saw a reality TV show down in Texas being recorded with this very large family who I guarantee was making millions of dollars a year, and their kids couldn't look any more unhappy, detached, and tired, and just miserable with being constantly asked to do things in such a way that would translate well with the audience. It makes me terribly uncomfortable. This is me. This is my take. This is my opinion. Everybody out there gets to decide for themselves. I like I said, I would encourage just some awareness.
I think and be I guess cautious or respectful of when parents do pull back, why they're doing that, because there's discussions that go around, that go along that. So it's like, if a parent suddenly pulls back, there's been a lot of in-home discussions about why they're pulling back. And there's reasons for that. And as kids get older and they become teenagers, they don't want to be publicly criticized for everything they're doing, or a look on their face or their body language when, they're 14 years old and these are perfect strangers and they didn't even ask to be on camera in the first place. So yes, as parents, we're going to go, I'm going to get chippy online. And then if you think that's rude, that's fine. And
I'll get chippy with you.
You don't have to watch.
That's the other thing.
You don't have to. If we're not your cup of tea, that's okay. But we're not going to change what we're doing. We're not going to change what we believe. We're not going to be silenced. We're not going to stop speaking on issues that are important, that we feel are important. Yeah. Because it makes you uncomfortable. And if you don't like that,
don't be here.
You don't have to be on the channel.
People always threaten that and try to leverage that against us. And I think then they become upset.
You're losing your viewers.
They become upset when I tell them that. Then don't be here. It's like the analogy I always use. You're in my house. You're acting really, really rude. And now you're telling me that you're going to leave? Okay. Bye. We are not as heavily on the list of priorities and things that are important to me in my life. YouTube doesn't even rank in the top 10. It's what we do for a living, which makes it very, very important to us. But there are a number of things that are of far, far greater importance. My kids, being true to ourselves, speaking openly and honestly with people, all of these things matter more. And if that bugs anyone out there in any way, I'm not saying you watching at this point, because again, if you guys are here,
I
you
pretty much
probably
feel like
enjoy
if
it,
you're
but-
on the podcast, you're not part of this crowd.
Yeah. Melissa just wanted to come in here and vent. And then I ended up venting. Look at that.
I know. Yeah, you were like, be careful. And
No,
then
it
you're
gets me
like,
fired up. No,
you
'cause
can leave.
I don't like devoting any time or energy to
Yeah,
these people
yeah, no.
because they don't deserve it. You guys are here watching, and you guys are the ones who are like genuinely supportive and are always so loving and kind, and just have been supportive of what it is that we've worked very hard to try to accomplish here online at a very small level. And we so appreciate that support. So it is you guys who deserve this attention, not the people that go around being a-holes, crapping all over everything. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we're at. Interesting way to wind things down.
Jeremy's pregnant and sassy right now.
No, it's just
savage pregnant Jeremy.
Again, family means the world to me, and I don't play when it comes to my kids.
Yeah, same. I don't either. Yeah,
And
it's funny when people try to figure out like, is it Mama Bear talking or Papa Bear talking? Like people were like, it's Jeremy. No, it's Melissa. I can tell she's being extra rude.
It could be either one of us, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be back in here next week. Thank you once again for being here. Mama, you want to wind us down with anything? You got anything else?
No,
Can the Christmas tree come down? It's almost March.
Oh gosh. Okay, so next episode it will be March, and so I'm gonna move into Easter.
We're going to be making some changes in here very soon. I'm actually going to hop online later today and do some shopping. We need to improve the look and appearance. You know, we're coming up on 2 years of doing the podcast. Can you believe that?
Do you guys have any we need for our back wall, we need something more fun and young and not young, but flavorful. I'm clearly hungry. We need something for the back wall. It's so boring. We gotta fix that.
We're gonna mix things up slightly, just some tweaks here and there, and then lighting and all that. I'm gonna try to work on and improve and get better for you guys and for ourselves. So, love and appreciate you all. We will see you next week.
Living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows.